5 geopolitical flashpoints that could ignite world conflict. The next world war will begin with a crisis in one of these 5 regions. That's what military strategists worldwide are planning for right now. Their war games consistently identify the same flashpoints we're analyzing today. From the nuclear standoff in Kashmir to the naval confrontations in the South China Sea, these are the pressure points where geography and politics create the conditions for global catastrophe. Each region presents a unique powder keg situation where historical tensions meet modern military capabilities. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these specific regions keep security experts awake at night and how their geographical features make conflict more likely. The ripple effect. How regional conflicts become global crises. Breaking news. Chinese naval forces have exchanged fire with Taiwanese defense vessels in the Taiwan Strait. Military analysts report escalating tensions as both sides mobilize additional assets to the region. The Taiwanese government has ordered the evacuation of offshore islands. Imagine waking up to this news alert on your phone. Before you finished your morning coffee, global markets would already be in freefall. The ripple effect would move faster than the news cycle itself. What begins as a confrontation between 2 militaries quickly transforms into a crisis that touches every corner of the global economy. This is the reality of our interconnected world. A conflict that might once have remained contained to a specific region now sends shockwaves across continents within hours, not days or weeks. Like a stone thrown into a calm pond, the impact radiates outward with increasing consequence. In our hypothetical Taiwan scenario, semiconductor production, the backbone of our digital economy, would grind to a halt almost immediately. Companies like TSMC would implement emergency protocols, suspending operations to protect workers and critical infrastructure. The consequences would cascade through industries with alarming speed. Automobile production lines would shut down first, followed by consumer electronics manufacturers. Medical device companies would face critical component shortages. Military equipment production would be compromised. All of this would happen before any formal declaration of war or major military engagement. Taiwan's strategic significance in the global economy is profound. The island produces over 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors, the kind that power everything from smartphones to sophisticated military systems. This manufacturing powerhouse represents about 15% of Taiwan's GDP, but its importance to the global economy is incalculable. The concentration of this vital production in one geographically vulnerable location creates what security experts call a single point of failure in the global system. When we examine modern conflicts, we must understand they no longer exist in isolation. The intricate web of global trade means that even relatively small-scale confrontations can trigger worldwide economic disruptions. This economic interdependence is further complicated by complex alliance systems that can rapidly draw multiple nations into what began as a bilateral dispute. The physical geography of conflict zones often predetermines their strategic importance and potential for escalation. This concept of geographical determinism helps explain why certain regions become flashpoints again and again throughout history. Taiwan exemplifies this perfectly, an island positioned just off the coast of a major power, straddling crucial shipping lanes. Its geographical reality makes it simultaneously vulnerable and strategically vital. Other natural flashpoints emerge where geography creates competition for control of key waterways or resources. The South China Sea, with its vital shipping lanes and underwater resources, demonstrates how physical geography shapes political tensions. Similarly, the Kashmir border dispute between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan is exacerbated by the mountainous terrain that controls water resources vital to both nations. History offers sobering examples of how regional conflicts can rapidly transform into global catastrophes. World War I began with what seemed like a localized incident, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Few at the time predicted this would trigger a cascade of alliance activations that would plunge the world into years of devastating warfare. The complex web of security guarantees, once activated, pulled nation after nation into a conflict they had little direct stake in. More recently, the Cuban Missile Crisis demonstrated how quickly a regional security concern could escalate to the brink of nuclear war. What began as a Soviet attempt to establish missile bases in Cuba rapidly evolved into a 13-day standoff that brought humanity closer to nuclear annihilation than at any other point in history. The crisis showed how geographical proximity, strategic assets, and great power competition can create a volatile mix that threatens global stability. Today's flashpoints carry similar risks, but in a more economically interdependent world. The 5 regions will examine directly impact your daily life. From the smartphone in your pocket to the food on your table. The stability of these regions shapes the availability and cost of goods you rely on every day. The Taiwan Strait connects to your life through the semiconductor supply chain that powers virtually every electronic device you own. Kashmir's water resources influence food prices as they determine agricultural output for hundreds of millions of people. The South China Sea's shipping lanes transport goods that stock your local stores. The Baltic region's energy infrastructure affects heating costs and electricity prices across Europe. And Middle Eastern tensions directly impact global oil prices, affecting everything from airfare to plastic production. Understanding these flashpoints is about recognizing how global events will impact your personal financial security, access to goods and services, and even national security. By grasping the interconnected nature of these regions, you gain the ability to anticipate disruptions before they reach your doorstep. This knowledge allows for better personal preparation and more informed civic engagement on foreign policy issues. Think of these 5 regions as pressure gauges for the global system. By monitoring tensions in these areas, you can anticipate economic and security challenges before they fully materialize. This perspective transforms abstract geopolitical concepts into practical knowledge with real-world applications. Our examination of the Taiwan semiconductor ecosystem is just one example of the complex vulnerabilities embedded in our global system. Each region represents a different type of vulnerability, resource competition, territorial disputes, historical grievances, or strategic positioning. Together, they form a comprehensive picture of the fault lines in our interconnected world. What makes these flashpoints particularly concerning is how they interact with each other. A crisis in one region can divert attention and resources from another, creating opportunities for escalation on multiple fronts simultaneously. The interconnected nature of these flashpoints means that understanding each one individually is necessary but insufficient. We must also grasp how they influence each other. Taiwan Strait, the semiconductor powder keg. Geographic constraints shape every flashpoint, but only one region holds the beating heart of our digital world. Imagine if 90% of the world's most advanced technology depended on production facilities sitting directly in the crosshairs of the most dangerous military standoff on the planet. This isn't hypothetical. It's the daily reality in the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan's semiconductor industry functions as the heartbeat of global technology. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, tsmc, produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors, including 90% of the most advanced chips. These microscopic marvels power everything from consumer electronics to military defense systems. This concentration of critical technology in one small geographic area creates an economic vulnerability unlike anything else in the modern world. The physical geography compounds this vulnerability. Taiwan sits approximately 100 miles, just 160 kilometers, from mainland China across the narrow Taiwan Strait. This proximity places the island within range of conventional military strikes, while making defensive operations challenging. Taiwan's position is especially critical due to its location along essential shipping routes connecting East Asia with global markets. Any disruption in this area would sever one of the world's busiest maritime corridors. Chinese military activity around Taiwan has escalated dramatically in recent years. In February 2025, the People's Liberation Army conducted joint combat readiness drills to the southwest and west of Taiwan, with 22 PLA aircraft crossing the median line in the Taiwan Strait. These activities form part of a pattern of increasing pressure, with fighter jets, warships, and unmanned aerial vehicles participating in demonstrations of force. U.S. military leadership's assessment of these exercises is particularly alarming. Admiral Samuel Papero, commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, evaluated these activities as not exercises. They are rehearsals. This suggests Chinese forces are practicing specific invasion scenarios rather than conducting routine training. The exercises have become so extensive that, according to Papero, they could potentially conceal the early stages of an actual military operation. The political dimensions of this standoff are rooted in competing visions of Taiwan's identity and future. China adheres to the One China policy, viewing Taiwan as a renegade province that must eventually reunite with the mainland. This position stands in direct opposition to Taiwan's democratic self-governance and its population's growing sense of distinct identity. The island functions as an independent democracy with its own elections, currency, and diplomatic relationships, despite limited formal international recognition. This fundamental disagreement creates a persistent source of tension that military posturing continuously exacerbates. China's military exercises and diplomatic pressure aim to convince Taiwan that reunification is inevitable, while Taiwan's democratic institutions reinforce its separate development path. The United States maintains strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan, a deliberately unclear stance on whether American forces would directly intervene if China attempted to take Taiwan by force. This policy aims to deter Chinese aggression while also discouraging Taiwan from taking actions that might provoke conflict, such as formally declaring independence. This ambiguity creates a dangerous space for miscalculation. Chinese leaders must consider the possibility of American intervention without knowing its exact form or threshold. American planners must prepare for scenarios without explicit policy commitments. Taiwanese leaders must make security decisions without complete certainty of external support. Any misreading of intentions by any party could rapidly escalate tensions beyond control. The economic dimensions extend globally. TSMC's fabrication plants produce the semiconductors that power artificial intelligence systems, cloud computing infrastructure, and advanced military equipment, the foundation of modern technological civilization and national security capabilities. The company's customers include virtually every major technology firm in the world, creating a web of dependency that spans continents. A conflict affecting Taiwan would trigger immediate production stoppages. Even without physical damage to manufacturing plants, disruptions to electricity, supply chains, or workforce availability would halt production. The impact would cascade through global supply chains with remarkable speed. First would come immediate production crashes in industries dependent on regular semiconductor shipments. Automotive assembly lines would extend into prolonged closures as stockpiles vanished. Smartphone manufacturers would face impossible component shortages. Medical device production would face critical constraints for everything from diagnostic equipment to implantable devices. The second wave would hit as initial shutdowns triggered broader economic effects. Massive unemployment would spread in manufacturing regions worldwide. Consumer spending would contract as durable goods became unavailable. Financial markets would react to both real economic damage and fear of expanding conflict. The third phase would force painful choices as nations prioritized remaining semiconductor supplies. Military and essential infrastructure needs would compete with consumer and commercial demands. Countries would face pressure to align with either China or the United States, both militarily and economically. Access to remaining technology supplies would become a geopolitical bargaining chip. The shipping disruption component amplifies these problems. The Taiwan Strait is a vital maritime passage connecting supply chains across Asia with markets worldwide. Military activities, blockades, or declared exclusion zones would force vessels to reroute around the Philippines and through more distant waters, adding time, cost, and complexity to global logistics. This combination creates a perfect economic storm. Industries already struggling with component shortages would simultaneously face logistics challenges for whatever alternative supplies remained available. The global economy, optimized for efficiency rather than resilience, would face simultaneous shocks to both production and distribution networks. The economic implications extend into areas most people never connect to semiconductor production. Modern agriculture depends on GPS systems and equipment with embedded chips. Hospitals rely on advanced diagnostic tools with semiconductor-dependent components. Water treatment facilities use digital control systems for ensuring safe drinking water. What makes the Taiwan situation unique among global flashpoints is this combination of irreplaceable economic significance and intense geopolitical confrontation. Taiwan's semiconductor industry creates a vulnerability that extends far beyond the island itself, affecting virtually every person who uses modern technology. Kashmir, where water wars meet nuclear arsenals. If Taiwan's semiconductor foundries represent the brain of our technological civilization, the Kashmir conflict between India and Pakistan threatens something even more fundamental. Water, the very lifeblood of human existence. Here, too, nuclear-armed nations face off over rivers that sustain nearly 1 billion people, creating a flashpoint where resource scarcity intersects with the world's most dangerous nuclear standoff. 3 full-scale wars have erupted between India and Pakistan since their 1947 independence, with Kashmir at the center of each conflict. Both countries now possess substantial nuclear arsenals, transforming what might otherwise be a regional border dispute into a potential global catastrophe. The stakes extend far beyond territorial claims or national pride. They involve the survival of hundreds of millions who depend on water flowing from Kashmir's mountains. Kashmir's geography makes it uniquely valuable. Nestled in the Himalayan and Karakoram mountain ranges, this disputed territory serves as the source region for 6 major rivers of the Indus Basin system. These waterways, the Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej, collectively provide irrigation for vast agricultural lands throughout the Indian subcontinent. Control of these highlands means control of the water tap for downstream populations. The Indus Waters Treaty, signed in 1960, has survived over 6 decades despite persistent tensions. This remarkable diplomatic achievement separated water resources from other conflicts by allocating the eastern rivers, Ravi, Sutlej, and Beas, to India, while Pakistan received the western rivers, Jhelum, Chenab, and Industry India agreed to allow waters from the western rivers to flow unimpeded into Pakistan, with limited exceptions. This arrangement gave Pakistan approximately 80% of the total water covered by the treaty. However, this decades-old stability is now crumbling. India has formally served notice to Pakistan seeking to renegotiate the treaty's terms, citing significant shifts in population demographics, environmental challenges, and changing water needs. Meanwhile, Pakistan has raised concerns about India's construction of hydroelectric projects on rivers allocated to Pakistan, arguing these dams violate India's obligation to allow water to flow freely downstream. The impact on daily life is already evident. In Pakistan's Punjab province, farmers like Muhammad Akbar have watched their harvest diminish year after year as water availability becomes unpredictable. My father irrigated twice the land I can manage today, Akbar explains. The canals run dry more often, and when water does come, it's not enough. On the Indian side, in Jammu, agricultural worker Priya Sharma faces similar challenges. We're digging wells deeper every year, but groundwater keeps receding. The changes in river flow have left many fields fallow. Unlike most transboundary water agreements worldwide, the Indus Waters Treaty took the unusual approach of dividing rivers rather than sharing them. It's the only transboundary water treaty on Earth that divides waters and does not share them. This arrangement worked during periods of relative stability, but shows increasing strain as pressures mount. Climate change has emerged as a major accelerant of this conflict. Rapidly melting Himalayan glaciers are altering river flow patterns, while erratic monsoons bring either devastating floods or prolonged droughts. Groundwater depletion further strains available resources. The treaty, designed in the mid-20th century, contains no provisions for sustainability or addressing climate-induced changes to water availability. The historical conflicts between India and Pakistan directly influence current water tensions. Each previous war has left deeper mistrust, making technical cooperation on water management increasingly difficult. After the 1971 war, water negotiations became more politicized, and following the 1999 cargo conflict, joint water management initiatives were suspended entirely. Water has increasingly become a tool of strategic leverage between the nations. Following a 2016 attack on an Indian Army base in Uri, Prime Minister Narendra Modi signaled potential water restrictions against Pakistan, declaring that blood and water cannot flow together during an election rally. After another crisis in 2019, an Indian minister publicly called for suspending water supplies to Pakistan. Pakistan's agricultural system depends almost entirely on these rivers. Approximately 80% of Pakistan's irrigated agriculture, the backbone of its economy, relies on water from the Indus Basin. Any significant reduction in this flow would devastate food production, potentially creating humanitarian disasters and further destabilizing an already fragile state with nuclear capabilities. The conflict takes additional dimensions through religious and cultural divisions. Kashmir's population is predominantly Muslim, while India remains majority Hindu. These identity-based tensions complicate technical solutions to water sharing, especially when water restrictions can be portrayed as targeting specific communities. The militarization of Kashmir reflects how geography shapes conflict, creating one of the world's most heavily militarized regions. What makes Kashmir uniquely dangerous is this combination of water dependency, nuclear capabilities, and nationalist politics. Both countries frame water access as an existential issue for their populations, while simultaneously maintaining nuclear arsenals that could devastate the entire region. The prospect of increasing water conflicts extends far beyond Kashmir. The United Nations estimates that by 2050, approximately 5 billion people could suffer water shortages due to climate change, pollution, and increasing demand. Kashmir represents an early and particularly dangerous example of how water scarcity can inflame existing tensions between nuclear-armed adversaries. Despite these alarming dynamics, diplomatic pathways remain open. Water scarcity could drive cooperation rather than conflict if leaders prioritize mutual survival over competition. Joint water management systems that address climate adaptation, efficient irrigation, and sustainable development might serve both countries better than continued confrontation. South China Sea, the maritime choke point. As resource conflicts intensify across the globe, no disputed territory has more immediate potential to disrupt the world economy than a stretch of ocean where 5 nations face off against China's expanding maritime claims. The South China Sea serves as the nautical crossroads through which 1/3 of international shipping passes each year, valued at over $3 trillion annually. These vital sea lanes function as the arteries of global commerce, connecting Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, facilitating the movement of essential resources and finished goods that stock shelves and power industries worldwide. This maritime region has transformed into one of the world's most volatile flashpoints, as overlapping territorial claims create a complex web of disputes that grow more dangerous each year. China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan all assert sovereignty over portions of these waters, with Beijing's claims being by far the most expansive. The competition centers on control of shipping routes, fishing grounds, and potentially massive underwater energy reserves that could power economies for decades. At the heart of this multi-sided dispute lies China's controversial 9-dash line, a boundary that encompasses roughly 90% of the entire South China Sea. This demarcation, appearing on Chinese maps as 9 dashes forming a loop around most of the waterway, was firmly rejected by an international tribunal. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague ruled that China's expansive claims had no legal basis under international maritime law. Beijing ignored the ruling, demonstrating how traditional legal frameworks struggle to constrain great power ambitions in contested spaces. Instead of retreating, China has doubled down by creating facts on the water. Since 2013, Beijing has undertaken massive dredging operations to transform submerged reefs and rocks into artificial islands throughout the contested waters. These manufactured islands now feature ports, military facilities, and airstrips capable of handling bomber aircraft and fighter jets. The military buildup on these artificial outposts represents a significant change in the regional balance of power. Satellite imagery reveals sophisticated radar installations, anti-aircraft weapons, and missile shelters that extend China's defensive perimeter hundreds of miles beyond its mainland shores. These installations function as unsinkable aircraft carriers, providing Beijing with permanent forward bases from which it can project power across the entire South China Sea and monitor all maritime traffic passing through these critical waterways. This military presence directly threatens the free flow of international shipping. Any disruption to these maritime choke points would force vessels to reroute around Indonesia and the Philippines, adding thousands of miles and substantial costs to global shipping. The resulting delays would cascade through just-in-time supply chains, affecting energy markets, manufacturing output, and consumer prices worldwide. Recent confrontations demonstrate how quickly theoretical disputes can escalate to physical altercations. The standoff at 2nd Thomas Shoal exemplifies this dangerous dynamic. The Philippines intentionally grounded a World War II-era vessel, the BRP Sierra Madre, on this shoal to reinforce its territorial claims.